So good to see everyone. Many familiar faces, and some people I think who are new to this space. Some people who we haven't seen since the Writing Women course in the fall. So nice to be connected again. Could you take a minute to put where you're calling in from in the chat so we can connect to Earth and where we're all zooming in from? I would love to see that. Chicago, Oakland, Evanston. Welcome. I'm in Madison, Ohio, which is the small town where I grew up on Lake Erie. And it's actually been really beautiful to be back in the home country. It's interesting how you smell the same smells you smelled as a child. You attuned to the mosses, the grasses, the trees. Even though I wasn't outside much today, there was this reset of the nervous system that happened just being back on this land in this place. San Francisco, Albuquerque, Boise, Chicago, Portland, Maine, Brooklyn, another Cleveland, Ohio. Aaron, hello. Good to see you all. Okay, is anyone new to this space of meditative creative writing? This is your first session here. Okay, welcome, Elsa, Veronica. So glad you're here, Mary Ellen. I will just sort of introduce myself and explain the way I usually do these sessions so you know what to expect. So, the idea behind this, oh, we have a little one with us. Hi, Kathy. Nice to see you and to see your little person as well. I have said this before, but part of this, one thing that I'm really hoping to create, along with Fatima and other people who are kind of regulars, is this supportive intergenerational space where we can be in conversation across the generations, also across cultures, across places. Those things are all really valuable. But this idea that we get to meet across the generations while we share our writing and share our stories is a big part of what we want to do here because the orientation of this work is all about life. It's all about life in a time and in a world that is going in another direction. So many of our systems are dying or obsessed with that. And we are about life even when we're talking about death. So there's a lot of people in this community who have done deep ancestral work. I started doing this kind of online teaching with Daniel Four of Ancestral Medicine. And in that work, we connect with a wise and well ancestor. So we connect into a channel of ancestral wisdom, and we understand that we are part of a cycle of life that includes death and it also includes regeneration. So, with that philosophy, we welcome all generations and we welcome our ancestors to this space and our more than human kin, our natural attendant spirits, the animals and plants we're in communion with, and the other sources of wisdom that we can connect with. So, this is all arising out of a desire to merge creative writing with rich. intuitive experience. We have an experience often of remembering more than our own lifetime, or deeply intuiting and feeling empathic for other beings. And so I'm excited to create spaces where we make that a little more overt, where we name that, where we cultivate that part of the work. First through meditation and ritual, and then we do free writing. And my hope is that this is very spiritually supportive for you this evening, and also creatively, aesthetically supportive, and gives you some new starts and things to work with as artists. So that's the method. Are there any questions before we begin or comments? Elsa
Hi,
or
Rachel.
else?
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Thank you.
Do you recommend that we do handwriting or typing?
I recommend handwriting
Okay.
because it happens at the rhythm of the body, and because typing has become so affiliated with other forms of work and it's more visual. So I think it happens in a different part of the brain. And there is actually studies on this that when we're seeing our work, we are also criticizing it, we're editing it in a way. So I recommend handwriting when we free write. I also understand that people have their own methods, and sometimes these are accommodation issues. I'm not interested in providing a bunch of rules as much as just invitations, but I have heard from a lot of students that handwriting has helped them access a different kind of voice, a more lyrical, embodied voice. So I We'll get into our bodies tonight and write from our bodies. Good question. Any other questions? Any comments? Would anyone like to share a word or two of how they're feeling this evening? Chess?
Yeah, you know what's strange? I didn't even, I was going to turn my sound off and I didn't. Like, I didn't touch anything, it just happened. So, I took the class with you, Writing with the Dead.
Hmm.
And yesterday, I'm going through a divorce and I went to my husband's house to grab some of my things. We've lived apart for 9 months now. And I grabbed your book, this one. And I
Thank
don't
you.
think I've received an email or read an email from you since that class. This morning, I got it and I go, I know that name. I know Rachel Jameson Webster. And I go, oh my gosh. So
Wow.
I was clearly led here. And I know that that is a big part of this work. And I speak to my well and healed ancestor, and only him right now. I'm not ready to go to the others, though I acknowledge
Mhm.
that.
Mhm.
And so I'm just very thankful to learn from you again.
Thank you so much for saying that and sharing that. I think that's the space that I feel really honored to open with all of you, where we believe in this guidance. We believe in an animate universe that is in communication with us. And hopefully, we are alert and aware enough to see those things. So I'm so happy that we connected in this day. Thank you, and that you're here. Um, any other comments, Olivia?
Yeah, I just, I've been very, very tired recently, but especially today, I've been just working and kind of worn. And part of me was like, ugh, I wish I had more energy. I knew I was going to come to this, but I wish. And then I just remembered from writing Women, a lot of times I was tired coming into it, and just like the practice of the meditative practice and the getting in my body, it, I wouldn't say it like spikes my energy, but it just brings me back to myself, that it's, I don't know, I'm very grateful for this, you taking this time and offering this, because something about having it there
Mhm.
is, I just feel more connected to myself no matter where I'm at otherwise. And
Good.
yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so I think we're getting ready to begin here. I want to pick up on two things that were just said. The theme I started with for this evening is the idea of not knowing. And that connects perfectly. Chess, thank you for sharing where you're at in your life in these moments of not knowing, these moments of transition. How can we have that actually be an invitation to openness? So there's a Buddhist saying, not knowing is most intimate. And there is an awakening that can happen when we are in the field of not knowing. You noticed that you grabbed my book and that you got an email from me. That partly comes from that seeking need that we have in these chapters of not knowing. And it's a beautiful thing because it puts us into active relationship with the meaning in our lives and with this sense of guidance that we feel and we receive, but we don't always know how to name it as real. So, not knowing is most intimate. Um, and then, Olivia, I really appreciate what you said because I experienced that too, where while we were running the class, I had more energy. So part of what we're going to do is called running energy. That actually comes from clairvoyant meditation, which I know Susanna, Jackie, some of you have studied these paths as well, and energy healing. And it's a way of getting our energy in motion so that we can be in present time on an energetic level and not carrying so much clutter in a way. So I think before I say more and do more of a lesson, let's just go into meditation together. Go ahead, you can turn off your sound, do whatever feels comfortable for you to get into a space of really honoring your own meditative space. I'm going to start by taking 3 deep breaths with our hand on our heart. Thank you, heart. Thank you, heart. Thank you, lungs. One more breath. See if you can feel your own heartbeat, the blood rushing all around your body, your lungs sourcing you with oxygen, and something even lighter, the space in you, the animation of your own life force. Most of our cells are made up of space. We're filled with light and with potential. See if you can just feel that. Now I want you to picture 4 corners around you, maybe the 4 corners of your room, maybe the 4 directions, and position a helper, a spirit guide, or a symbol at each of the 4 directions. Call on your spiritual support system that you are already working with. For some of you, this may be characters you've written. They may be spirit guides from a tradition, wise or well ancestors, or even the energy of a tree or a bird. See if you can tune into 4 of your guides and ask them to clear the space around you this evening and really make space for you to attune to your higher self and to the beautiful meaning and inspiration that is meant for you this evening. And if you have anything popping up from the day, all the busyness, the clutter, the to-do lists, or just the anxiety around this, you can ask it to just move outside of this circle of protection. You can ask these guides to just sweep that out of your space and really picture kind of a globe of protected golden light around you. Now, in the middle of this globe, you're going to come back to your body, put your hand back on your heart, and picture a grounding cord going from the base of your spine down through your chair into the floor, into the lower floor, the basement, the cool earth, all the way down. You can see it as a twisting tree root or a water slide. Just keep dropping a grounding cord all the way down until you reach the molten core. And give it a tug and feel gravity pulling on this cord. You might even feel it as a little pulsing. Take a deep breath. And you can ask anything that you've picked up in the day, in the week, any energy that is not yours to carry, just goes down the grounding cord, down into the earth to be transmuted. You don't have to know what the energy is. You don't have to give it a story. Just let it go down the cord. Go ahead and breathe. Stretch your feet a little bit. Roll your ankles. Put your feet on the ground and let them draw up this energy of the earth. And you can really picture it. You might want to picture warm mud or sunlight through leaves, a vibration of earth energy. And let it enter these spinning chakras on the bottom of your feet, come up into your feet, flow over the little bones like roots, pool around your ankle bones, and then draw this energy up your ankles, into your calves, behind your knees. Let it pool in your knees for a minute. They do a lot of work for us. It might want to swirl around there. Into your thighs, down to your root chakra, sort of the bowl of the pelvis. And again, anything that you don't need can go down this grounding cord. It's still running. Let it just go. You don't have to know what it is. Take a deep breath. You're going to invite the earth energy to come even higher into your second chakra. Let it kind of swirl around the ovaries, into the womb, this source of creation, all creation, up to the third chakra, place of our individuality. You might feel that as sort of a shiny front-facing area. Let the earth energy come there, up into your heart chakra, and swirl around. Give your heart a healing. Earth's the right place for love. I don't know where it's likely to go better. That's Robert Frost. This earth energy and our heart chakra, they're in very constant communication. Out your arms. You can feel this earth energy waking up your hands. Your hands have many chakras or energy centers. Sort of spins and swirls there. Back up your arm channels. Into your chest, your throat. If you want, you can put your hand on your throat and give a little om. Let yourself hear your own voice, the depth of your own voice. Om. Up into your inner ear, behind your eyes, all the way to the crown chakra. And then let it just flow down through all those energy centers. Take a deep breath. Tune into your guides. Ask them to help you with anything that's coming up. Maybe you feel cords in your space. Ask them to help you clear out what isn't needed for this time. Now picture a ring of light like a halo, about 7 inches above your head, opening. Maybe make it 20% open. You can invite in some cosmic light to start flowing down through that opening into your aura, which is like the atmosphere around your body, your energy body, and then back through all the chakras that we just grounded with earth energy. Let it dance with cosmic energy. You might feel it kind of as a double helix doing this spiral dance. Take a deep breath. Just invite it to come in. all the way down behind your eyes, into your ears, your throat chakra. Take a deep breath. Picture your throat chakra lighting up, being healed, into your heart chakra, your solar plexus, third chakra, second, first. And you can really feel the stance of the earthly and cosmic. Go ahead and put your hand back on your heart. And send out gratitude to your guides, to life, to this body you're in. And as you send out gratitude, you might even picture it as these rippling waves coming from you. Also receive gratitude coming back to you. Go up to the point of view of your guides. Look down on yourself and feel their gratitude for your openness. If it feels right, you can set an intention for your writing tonight. Ask a question, or see if you can hear something in this space of inner listening. Is there something that you could know about this gratitude that is coming to you? Okay, your grounding cord is still working for you. It's still clearing energy. And you can leave your earth and cosmic energy running through the course. You may want to close that crown chakra a little, just so it's a little more manageable. But you can leave this channel of inspiration open. Maybe put it at like 10 or 15% open, so your body can feel comfortable. In fact, tell your body that you're safe. Take a deep breath and go ahead and come out of meditation. Okay, welcome back. So I want to return to this theme of not knowing as a way of being open, as a way of being in an animate world, an animate universe that is communicating with us. And the readings that I was doing in preparation for our class were both from Mary Oliver books. So this is one called White Pine and one called Winter Hours. And so I will share a couple of the readings. Of course, I wrote a little too much or typed up, but I want to just share this to give us some inspiration before we go into our own free write. This is from her essay, Winter Hours. And she wrote about how She would go every morning into the pine woods, that her ritual was to get up really early and go into the pine woods. And she starts to write about how life can come into communication with us in a new way when we make ourselves open, when we make ourselves open to listening and receiving and not getting attached to our knowing what we already know. So here is this quote about entering the woods, and I'll begin a little before it is on the screen. Through these woods, I have walked thousands of times. For many years, I felt more at home here than anywhere else, including our own house. Stepping out into the world, into the grass, onto the path, was always a kind of relief. I was not escaping anything. I was returning to the arena of delight. I was stepping across some border. I don't mean just that the world changed the other side of the border, but that I did too. I love that. She knew she changed at the other side of the border. Eventually, I began to appreciate, I don't say this lightly, that the great black oaks knew me. I don't mean they knew me as myself and not another. That kind of individualism was not in the air, but that they recognized and responded to my presence and to my mood. They began to offer, or I began to feel them offer, their serene greeting. It was like a quick change of temperature, a warm and comfortable flush, faint yet palpable, as I walked toward them and beneath their outflowing branches. So I love this idea of a place as an arena of delight, which many of us probably have in the natural world. But I would like to say some of us are really living in cities now. There can also be human spaces that are arenas of delight. Um, so before we get into writing, maybe jot down a couple places for you where you felt that border, where you felt you crossed a border and you were changed. Is there a sense that you were watched by the place you were entering? Did the place change to meet you? Okay. I want to read a poem. I'll read one more quote of hers, and then we'll read a poem. And then we'll go right into a free write. Before we free write, though, I want to say there's no wrong way to do this. There's no detail too small, too mundane, that it isn't worth writing about. And although Mary Oliver is quite an elevated nature writer, it's possible to write great literature from really gritty urban spaces, from pain as well as elevation. So the not knowing also means we are open to what is, whatever is coming up in the writing. And this form of writing, where we're thinking about writing as receiving, as not just delivering our expertise or delivering a description of our experience, it can feel like listening. So, this is another Mary Oliver quote. In the act of writing a poem, I am obedient and submissive. Insofar as one can, I put aside ego and vanity and even intention. I listen. What I hear is almost a voice, almost a language. It is a second ocean rising, singing into one's ear, or deep inside the ears, whispering in the recesses where one is less themself than a part of some single, indivisible community. It is both physical and spooky. So, how many of you have had the experience of writing that feels like inner listening? Else, do you want to speak to that at all?
Sure. Yeah, I've been working on my first novel for over 7 months now, really since 2021, but in a concerted way for over 7 months. And there have been moments where I've been blocked, and I usually take myself into new landscapes and just start playing a voice memo and recording myself speaking out loud. And the act
Wow.
of verbalizing within landscapes that are, I would say, like very deeply resonant for me in a multitude of ways that I'm unpacking over time, but giving myself the gift of that just unadulterated expression, created memoir essays. And I did very little editing. I simply just took a transcription of what I said aloud to myself, and that's a recent example.
That is so beautiful and profound. Thank you for sharing that. Well, do you feel that the landscape was allowing you to access different parts of your knowing and not knowing, your wisdom?
Yes, I was. So I'll just share the space where this happened most remarkably was on Refugio Beach here in Santa Barbara. We're really close to Santa Barbara. And I was here for the first time, and the sound of the waves, man, oh man, I mean, just very meditative in and of itself, but it gave me cover. So all the other people camping and people in their RVs and people on the beach while I was camping there couldn't hear me speaking out loud. And as I was weaving this narrative, reflecting on aspects of my lived experience, the landscape was sparking me. It was like the palm tree reminded me of this thing, which reminded me of this thing. The Channel Islands across the way were almost like blended into the water and the night sky, and they were just so connected, which reminded me of a painting. And then I went into the painting, so it was very the landscape was a portal, yeah, and a
The
cover.
landscape was a portal. Wow. And that you said sparking of connections. This idea that the writing actually becomes a container to make us more alive to the present moment. And the present moment is in animate conversation with us. Yes. Thank you for sharing. one more example of writing as inner listening, if anyone wants to share. Atara, did you have a thought?
I was yeah, I had thoughts. I was thinking about hiking. I really like going hiking. And there's a creek not far from my apartment that I'll go to sometimes. And less of one concrete experience, but I think just the culmination of those experiences, like every time I go, I try to write something and just like feeling the trees, especially something about like the energy of the wind, like moving in a certain way. It just makes me feel comfortable taking up space in a way that, you know, sometimes may be difficult in more like institutional settings, just to give a label to it. I was thinking about that experience while we were talking through those things. Um, and yeah, just had a lot of like odd, but like odd in a peculiar, like special, precious way, moments at the creek.
Perfect. Yeah, this is in indigenous cultures, there's a term walk-in, like sacred, that we have sometimes if animals will behave a little differently, that's considered a sacred moment. That if you have moments like that of portal, they are sacred moments, they're real moments, and they become part of our own lived spirituality. So I think that, as you say, institutional spaces aren't good at recognizing them as real. And so we have to really like keep those sacred moments and ideally even write them. And I do think Mary Oliver as a poet did that. So I want to get to our free write. So I'm going to read one poem of hers that is about this very thing, crossing a threshold from one way of thinking, maybe the more rational way, maybe the more institutionally, traditional way, passing a threshold to a different way of being and naming that threshold, the pine woods. This morning, two deer in the pine woods, in the 5 a.m. mist, in a silky agitation, went leaping down into the shadows of the log, and together, across the bog and up the hill and into the dense trees. But once, years ago, in some kind of rapturous mistake, the deer did not run away, but walked toward me and touched my hands. And I have been, ever since, separated from my old, comfortable life of experience and deduction. I have been, ever since, exalted. And even now, though I miss the world, I would not go back. I would not be anywhere else but stalled in the happiness of the miracle. Every morning I stroll out into the fields. I believe in everything. I believe in anything. Even if the deer are wild again, I am still standing under the dark trees. They are still walking toward me. Okay. I think we have all had our threshold moments where we leave one way of thinking for another. This is our free write tonight. We're going to write for 10 minutes, and I'd like you to begin it in the present tense of you returning to that place. Write it as if it's happening now, the way she wrote this morning, two deer in the pine woods. So go ahead and write the scene in the present tense. See if you can describe it. And I'll give you another prompt in a few minutes. Can always go to the five senses. Make sure you've got them all on the page. Next part of the prompt, but once years ago. Right from that, but once years ago. Now write from I have been ever since. All right. I am still and return to that first scene and see if you can record a few more or different details. Okay, go ahead and finish your sentence or keep writing. It's really wonderful to see the sustained attention out there. And it's amazing because even in a Zoom space, somehow there's like this hush that falls when everyone is doing their inner listening. It's really magical and kind of amazing to me how much can happen in 10 minutes. 10 minutes of focus is actually a rarity now. But it can become very expansive. And I don't always give such a prescriptive prompt with many prompts within it. And just so you know, you can always ignore the prompts if you're on a roll with something. So, did anyone feel like they wrote something that surprised them or they didn't know they had to write? Good, Miriam. Yay. I think that's why we're in it. Again, the not knowing, something coming through us that we actually didn't expect. That becomes very exciting and compelling, and it's evidence that we are connected to so much more than we realize. We have wisdom, ancestors, knowing, and guidance, and pretty amazing inspiration that we're actually connected to. So, thank you for doing this and trusting the process. It's wonderful to spend this hour together. Um, and I would love to see you again, work with you again. Some of you have taken classes. I will just close by saying I'll continue to do these monthly free sessions. We also have a July course opening. It's 4 weeks. It's going to be really special and deep. And I just love the community that's developing around these courses as well because people are profoundly talented writers and artists and interesting to talk to. So, the way that will work is it'll be an 80-minute class with a 10-minute break and then 20 minutes for sharing in a breakout room. And each week we'll have a different theme and you'll do probably two free writes, one or two each class. So you will come out with writing to work with. So that begins July 9th. And then there's a retreat in the Blue Ridge Mountains in September, September 18th through 20th, that I think will be amazing, actually. It's at a place called the Art of Living, and it's a spiritual retreat center. It's also an Ayurvedic spa. It was the best spa of 2025 by Condé Nast and has, so it's an all-inclusive. There's vegetarian meals. We will be doing meditating and writing in person in this beautiful space that's a vortex, actually. A lot of spiritual teachers go there. And so the consciousness that we will get to be a part of, I think will be really beautiful. I spent time there this March to make sure it felt right, and I was so moved. There's a really non-pretentious, gentle, but expansive awareness there. So I know that's a bigger commitment to commit to an in-person retreat. So if anyone has questions about it, I would be happy to schedule calls with you. Oh, thank you, Fatima. There's a link in the chat of where to find that. And if you have questions, I'm happy to talk about it, or you can email me at the email where I'm sending the newsletter to. Um, any questions now or comments?
I just want to thank you, Rachel,
Oh,
um,
I do.
for yes, for doing this. Because I'm remembering our last session, um, and I remember you speaking about the book and what happened with the book,
Mm.
and the fact that you were on the verge of the opera.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
I was on the verge of the opera. So when I saw you step forward in this way, I mean, for me, it was a kind of coming out,
Mm,
just being very explicit about what you were going to use as a teacher of writing to ground that
mhm.
questions of craft uh, would have to fit into this in some kind of way, but that you were unapologetic about holding another kind of space for us to be in the midst of all of this turbulence. So
Thank you,
I
Jackie.
I just want to thank you for that.
Thank you. And thank you for being one of the truly inspired members of this community.
Mm.
I mean, Jackie's writing is extraordinary. And part of the reason I've reframed away from craft, I've been a professor at Northwestern, a professor of creative writing for 21 years, and I love it. And I understand there are a lot of craft puzzles that come up when we're writing our books. And yet, I could no longer accept that as the framing. Because I think when we give ourselves invitations to be inspired, truly inspired, deeply intuitive, we get a wilder and wiser form of writing coming in. So I'm just really, thank you for saying that and recognizing that it is a different framing. Thank you. Yeah. And thank you all for being here tonight. It was great to see many familiar faces and new faces. And I wish you a beautiful month of June and hope to see you again in a future offering. Have a good night, everyone. Thank you.